What's good, everybody out there on YouTube? This is your man Hastags dropping some hot Faraga on this mic. Today we're going to be talking about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I know it's been a minute since the last upload. Your boy got COVID. On top of that, I've been trying to get through Final Fantasy VII Rebirth as fast as possible. As you can tell, that hasn't been going great. Not because Final Fantasy Rebirth is some bad game or there's been something really holding me back outside of when I had COVID, but mostly because there's so much content in this game. This game is very content-rich and content-dense, and I really get absorbed into the open world style of games. In all honesty, I've slept on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I mean, I slowed down all coverage of the game on my channel. I talked about it occasionally on stream, and while I did play the demo, really enjoyed much of the demo, I wasn't really feeling it until I got the game in my hands. And that's for a few reasons. First of all, I think the demo doesn't really do this game any justice. And secondly, I don't think they really delved into what made this game such a superior experience over Final Fantasy VII Remake. There's a lot of additions to this game that I think don't really matter on paper, but then there's a lot of stuff that actually makes it a much more enjoyable experience for the player. I'll be delving into that and more in the rest of this video. But make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, it helps your boy get in the algorithm. And let's discuss how I slept on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So, like I said before, I slept on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and there's quite a few reasons why. But one of the biggest reasons why is I think the gameplay loop. I just did not understand what it was going to be. And I think Square should have really gone out of their way to really explain it. Now, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is an open world game, functional, or at least I like to say an open zone game after playing Sonic Frontiers. Because while the game is open world and the stages are massive and open-ended, they are somewhat segmented, some more than others, in a way that makes vast open areas explorable with a lot of points of interest, making many open worlds along the way. Imagine Kingdom Hearts meets Breath of the Wild in a good way. The level layouts are interesting. They know how to put out their points of interest in a way that compels the player to really explore most of the map, and overall it makes it not boring to explore the open world, whether it be because they have really nice vistas, there are gameplay elements like enemies to defeat, or there's just really fun missions like the Fort Condor side quest strewn throughout the open world. It just makes the game feel a lot more alive when they go out of their way to really make sure there are things to do in every segment of the map, even if you don't return to that map after you do said thing, which I think is 100% fine. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth essentially takes its side missions and tries, in a way, to use those as a guide for the player to explore that map. Whether you get sidetracked trying to kill a fiend because you are doing some proto-relic mission, or those side quests lead you to a chocobo like in the Junon area, the game just makes it that much more compelling. I actually think Junon is the greatest example of this. Junon is fairly early game, I'd say it's still first half of the game, before you get your 6th party member, and the way they really utilize this portion of the map, or at least the side quests in this portion of the map, is masterful. One thing I like about this gameplay loop is you can functionally do most of the quests out of order, or at least the side quest, not the main stuff. And the game actually somewhat accounts for this. I think Junon, again, is that best example. When you're trying to get the chocobo for Junon, which is your form of, swifter travel in the area, if you opt to do the side quests first and kind of complete them before you try to get the chocobo farmer, wrangler, or whatever acknowledges this, though you are actually meant to go try to seek out the chocobo before doing any of those side quests. He brings up how you have to do X, Y, and Z, which is like 3 or 4 side quests before you get to doing what he wants you to do to get the chocobo. But once you've already done them, you can just go to him and it makes your life easier. And I like stuff like that. They even bring it up in a dialogue. He's like, oh, you've already done this? Sweet, let's get talking. Let's get you your chocobo. It just feels like everything in this world is a lot more alive than it was in the first game, despite that game having many areas that were densely packed. And in all honesty, I think that game visually is a lot more consistent. While I do think in many ways Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a lot better looking, especially in this quality mode, than the first game, I feel like the first game, especially when you play the PS5 version of it, holds up a lot better in the sense that it's a lot more consistent looking. This is my only real gripe with the game, or serious gripe, is the performance mode is too blurry and the quality mode has judder on camera movement. I'm completely content with playing the game at 30 frames per second, but the camera movement in this mode actually makes me want to vomit, so I have to play in 60 FPS. It's kind of an inverse issue of what we had with Final Fantasy XVI, which was a game that was also super blurry in its performance mode, but outside of combat, where combat was a strict 60 FPS, but it was locked to like sub 720p resolutions, out of combat it wasn't, and it ran at like 30-40 frames per second, and it was juddering all over the place, and it made it unplayable. So played it in quality, it locked everything, and it looked good still. I just find it really unacceptable with how long they've been working with this game, that it looks the way it does in the performance mode, and they couldn't get the camera movement right in the quality mode, which I feel like would have saved it, especially considering that the game suffers from not having any real-time lighting, so everything is baked, and there are areas of the game that just look worse than the PS3 game merely because they're not properly lit. That's all there is to it, and that's tragic. But I can accept it because, again, that gameplay loop is amazing. The world is vast. They've done a really stellar job with the story so far, having completed the game. And while I hear some people complain of the ending and they compare it to Kingdom Hearts nonsense, I love Kingdom Hearts. Also, Kingdom Hearts nonsense is Final Fantasy's nonsense, but people don't want to hear that because people actually haven't played Kingdom Hearts who complain about Kingdom Hearts nonsense. But the combat is, I think, where this game really shines. The combat is really, again, reminiscent of Kingdom Hearts. But I think what they do is they really make sure you understand how every character plays, their strengths, their weaknesses, and how to pair up those characters. I'm at the part where you get some of your other party members later, and while I really do enjoy playing those party members, you cannot pair some of those party members together with each other because it makes your team overall weaker. And it's about mixing and matching and seeing who goes with who. But on top of that, they've introduced new things like the synergy abilities and the synergy skills, and they work really well in combat. In many cases, while I don't usually remember that I have the synergy abilities, which are the ones that activate when you're blocking, or I could have it wrong, vice versa. You know what I mean if you play the game. The ones that activate while you're blocking, you just press a button to activate them. While they are really good and they are really useful, I just find myself forgetting about them a lot of the time, and I wish there was a way to really remedy that, because in all honesty, they're awesome. And then you have the synergy skills, which are more like your regular abilities and your magic. And those are tied to characters using actions like, ATB abilities or their magic during combat. And once you use so many of them with the respective characters that ability is tied to, you can activate that ability. And usually it's a pretty strong skill, whether it be, expanding your ATB charges, just a really strong attack, or something that boosts, your party stats. It does something that really changes the tide of battle. And on top of this kind of also boosts your relationship with your party members, which this game does have a relationship system. Now, sometimes I wish I didn't really have to interact with it from a story perspective, but from a gameplay perspective, I do think it does a lot. And the more you use these abilities and skills with your party members, the more their relationships actually deepen with Cloud, which is something that I don't think I expected. When I saw that I used like an ability or something with I think Tifa or Aerith or Barrett or something like that, and it said, your relationship has deepened with X character. I was like, whoa. I didn't know that, using these abilities and skills would actually deepen my relationship with them, but it does. And I think that's really cool. Something else that I do think is really cool is actually the weapon skill system. And it allows your characters to use weapons or abilities and stat boosts and stuff that are really specific to that character, but also I think kind of cover some of the other skills that your character may not have. Let's say you don't have fire materia attached to your character, but you need a fire move and a pinch that may not be as strong as using fire magic, but gets the job done maybe for staggering an enemy. Well, you can learn that. You can learn that for every character. You can learn, the different synergy abilities and skills for the characters. It's just the way they designed this game, there's so much freedom in its combat and its open world, despite the way it's constrained, that it really did surprise me. I didn't think I was gonna like this game as much as Remake, again, because I wasn't following it as heavily. I'd be like, oh, yo, that's cool. And while I did like some of the stuff I saw before the game's launch, I was kind of weary. I just thought I wasn't gonna like it that much. But honestly, this is in my top 3 games ever made. I genuinely am enjoying it that much. Now, there are some small quibbles I have, like the fast travel system could be better. I don't think there should be a reset from checkpoint button in the menu during some of the fiend battle or just the encounters in general that allow you to retry battles, because I used it and got reset about 3 hours from where I was. Actually more than 3 hours, about a day's worth of progress from where I was. But still, all in all, this game is damn near perfect, and that's all I could really ever ask for. But I want to know how you guys feel. Have you played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? If you have, do you really enjoy the game as much as I? Do you have some more quibbles? Please don't spoil the story for anyone in the comment section, including myself. I'm at the Corel portion of the story, at least as of recording this. And if you haven't picked up Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, did this video get you to pick up the game? Or is it pushing you towards getting the game? Let me know how you feel in that comment section down below. This was an off-the-cuff video. I really wanted to upload something, and this is something that I wanted to talk about, but I didn't want to script it. More videos are coming soon if you've seen the community post and you follow me, your boy, on Twitter. But this has been your man, Hastags. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Join the Discord, links are down below, and also follow your boy on Twitter, the Elon Musk app. Remember, Hot Faraga turns to Cold Blizzaga. Chill out some more other videos, and y'all have a good one.